Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another matchup from Dreamhack Summer. This is a quarterfinals match between Alliance and Mouz Sports. This is game one of a best of three series. And as always, like I promised, I will be bringing you every single playoff match from this Dreamhack Summer. So hopefully you'll keep supporting me while I go through this tremendous effort, for the most part solo. So hopefully you keep supporting me. But Alliance versus Mouz Sports. Alliance struggled to get into the finals bracket, or the playoffs bracket rather, because they were restricted in a group where everybody major went 2-1 and only two people could move on. But Alliance did win in terms of time rating. Meanwhile, Mouse were in a bit of a weaker group. They went 2-1 in their group. Liquid went 3-0. Meanwhile, you did see what happened to Liquid earlier. They lost to Quantic, so we'll see if Mouse can represent Group A a bit stronger. But they are playing with the stand-in in the form of Bone 7, rather than playing with their normal offlaner in the form of Koikwa. Keep in mind, Synderen has a 100% winning rate at Dreamhack while he's played Dota 2, so I'm sure that's going to be something. But Alliance, probably the strongest Western team in the world at the moment. And when I say the Western team in the world, I just mean one of the strongest teams in the world, probably the strongest Western team. They were the winners of Dreamhack Winter. Of course, Eternal Envy was taking the place of EGM, and they won the G1 LAN finals in Shanghai, China, going undefeated. So if there's a better team in Dota at the moment, it's very difficult to argue against Alliance. So Alliance going to ban Barreto as well as Lifestealer, so they're going to get themselves first pick. And right now, Mouse, they ban out Wisp as well as Lone Druid. Very standard bans thus far. This looks very similar to the last patch in terms of bans, as Lifestealer and Lone Druid definitely not sort of as highly regarded, but they're still ridiculously powerful. And Alliance going to secure themselves an offlaner from Admiral Bulldog. I like this choice quite a bit, since Admiral Bulldog, he is a very, very talented player, but his greatest performances do come on Nature's Prophet as well as Lone Druid. So like Alliance getting themselves their offlaner right off the bat, getting themselves Admiral Bulldog's, or one of Admiral Bulldog's trademark heroes in the form of Nature's Prophet. And now they don't really have to worry about if Mouse decide to ban it or pick it up themselves. And we're going to have to see how Mouse adapts. Keep in mind, Bone 7 is not one of their usual players, so I'm not too sure how they've played with him. Well, I mean, I'm a bit sure how they played with him. I saw him play Barreter in their game against Lion's Pride. He played a really, really aggressive Barreter, picking up Mask of Madness and all sorts of weird items. And overall, he did play very well, but we're going to have to see what offlane hero he decides to go with this game. Darkseer is still left in the pool, but Mouse is going to pick up the Nyx Assassin, so they're going to get themselves a nice support. I really doubt that Fado will take this hero mid. This will most likely be a support Nyx Assassin. And we're going to have to see how Mouse decide to go out the remnants of this try, and this will sort of tell us if Mouse are planning to go aggressive or defensively. But one thing that's very good for Mouse is that Black is such a versatile carry that it's going to be next to impossible for Alliance to ban out all the strong-hearted carries left in the pool. And that's why Mouse are going to pick up their two supports, because Black is such a versatile player, as well as Fada. And considering no mid-solos have been banned out apart from the Barreter, there are still a lot of strong mid-solo heroes left in the pool. But you can say the same thing for Alliance. Loda is probably the most versatile carry player right now in the scene. And that was made it so difficult for Chinese to ban against him. S4, of course, a ridiculously adaptable mid-solo player. So these teams have a common theme of versatility. And Alliance, Loda actually did say that Mouse's playstyle counters Alliance's somewhat. So we're going to have to see if that holds true, because Mouse actually has beaten Alliance a couple times in the past. I think Alliance actually have a losing record against the new Mouse ever since Synderen joined the team. But again, they are having Bone 7 play on the team instead of Koiko for this one singular Dreamhack tournament. So Alliance going to pick up the Chen for Aki, so they're going to get themselves a nice support backup, and also they're going to fortify the Nature's Prophet's pushing strategy. So maybe Alliance are going to go into one of their trademark tanky carry pushes, so maybe Doom or Dragonite could be an option. So look for Mouse to ban out the Dragonite, and that's exactly what they're going to ban out right here, right now. And maybe even the PA, because PA sort of fits in Alliance's game plan rather well. She does build very tanky when Low decides to get her. She gets drums and then BKB and phase boots and all those very, very versatile mid-game items. And Alliance going to be at the Gyrocopter, recognizing that he is very strong in defensive capabilities with the flat cannon, and he's very annoying to deal with in all aspects of the game. So they're just going to get rid of it from the pool. And we're going to have to see how Mouse responds. Are they going to go for an anti-mage up against the Nature's Prophet lineup? But if they do that, then Chen could potentially pressure him very early on. And that might not be so good for Mouse. And Mouse also picked up a Visage, so now they have the potential to go on the offensive themselves if they really want to do so. So maybe they're going to pick up an aggressive child and carry maybe something in the vein of Naga Siren, who I don't know if it's necessarily a Black hero, since Black really scales extremely low to farm, and Naga Siren isn't really one of those heroes. But Mouz gonna battle the Alchemist, another one of Black's signature carries, so this leads to believe that they want to focus their attentions on Anti-Mage, and they do have the first pick up after the second ban phase ends. And we'll see what Alliance decide to do. Are they going to ban another hard carry in the vein of Anti-Mage, or are they going to let a lot of carries through and try to get the best remaining one for Loda? Or maybe they're just going to pick up their mid hero, as neither team has banned out any mid souls outside of the Batrider, and I suppose the Dragon Knight, but that's pretty much it. So a lot of strong mids are still left in the pool, Darkseer is still left in the pool, and Alliance won't pick it up themselves, but maybe Mouse Sports will consider picking up the Darkseer, getting that Iron Shell. It's very difficult to push in against the Darkseer, and Alliance will have to push in with the Chen very early on. Alliance is going to get rid of the Spectre, who has been trending up very, very hard recently because of her very, very strong killing potential in the mid to late stages of the game, and also she is very difficult to kill off in the late stages of the game. And pretty smart ban by Alliance. I think they know Mouse are likely to go defensive, and they don't really have the hero composition that can challenge them aggressively. And also, Nature's Prophet against Spectre and Chen, just really not the best matchup for Nature's Prophet or Chen in general, just because Spectre is so tanky, and Nature's Prophet and Chen don't really deal that much burst damage in terms of keeping Spectre down. They don't have any ways to lock her in place, because Sprout just gets completely owned by Spectral Dagger, because it can just phase through the trees and then run on your merry way back towards wherever you want to go. So Mouse is going to take a little bit of time to think of their next choice. I think if Mouse had an option, they'd try to get themselves Puck, because Vada's Puck is really, really powerful. Definitely one of the top Pucks in the Western scene, of course. S4 can definitely make a claim to that, as well as a couple American Pucks, but Vada's Puck is really, really strong. And I think Puck in conjunction with the Visage as well as the Nyx is really, really powerful, because Puck holds people in place with the Dream Call, allows Visage to get a couple of soul assumptions through. He can allow Nyx to initiate with Vendetta, and overall can restrict Nature's Prophet quite a bit once he does get the dagger online. You can just sort of hunt down Nature's Prophet and really prevent him from getting a lot of farm going by just canceling his teleport with the Waning Rat and then just going and work with him. But Mouse is taking quite a bit of time. They're dipping into the last moments of the reserve time, and keep in mind, you no longer have as much time for the picks, but you have a bit more increased reserve time, so Mouse might be debating what hero they want to go for right now. They are going to pick up Anti-Mage for Black, like I predicted, because, again, now Alliance do have a strong split pushing hero in the form of Nature's Prophet, and Mouse gonna have a strong split pushing hero in the form of Anti-Mage. And we're gonna have to see how fast Black can farm up, but this will definitely be a defensive challenge by Mouse Sports, because they have two melee heroes as well as Visage. And Alliance gonna get themselves Magnus. It's been a while since we've seen Magnus in the game. He has definitely faded out very hard from the Bottle Crow nerf, but it's more due to the fact of reverse polarity not getting as much damage. And Mouse gonna pick themselves up a Puck. Dang, am I calling these picks or what? Mouse gonna get themselves Puck as well as Anti-Mage. So all I need now is an offlaner. I'm looking at you, Darkseer. Let's go. But yeah, back to Magnus. The biggest nerf to Magnus is probably the reverse polarity damage nerf, because now he just doesn't deal that much damage in general, and I'm a bit worried for Alliance. They really don't have much damage to keep Anti-Mage locked in place and kill him, even in the span of 1 RP. I mean, they have some right clicks of Nature's Prophet, they have Chen creeps. So the last two heroes are going to have to get some decent amount of damage, and they have one hero that's going to be devoted as a support. So maybe something like a Lina or a Leshrac could prove to be very useful. I'm going to favor Leshrac a bit more because he can push down towers and synergizes very well with Chen in general. But Lina, if they want to get a bit more burst damage to bring down Anti-Mage or Puck, could definitely be a viable option. But yeah, Magnus against Puck. You have to favor Puck, but S4 has just won mid lane matchups against much more difficult scenarios, as Alliance is going to pick up the Lich, and it seems like Glitch is back in the metagame. I guess that singular Chain Frost buff was enough to catapult him back to at least competitive viability, as he now has a bit more reliable DPS. He has a lot of damage. That is definitely something that Lich wasn't lacking, but his damage potential does fall from the late stages of the game. One thing good about Lich against Anti-Mage is, even though Anti-Mage does have the Spell Shield, a lot of Anti-Mages in defensive trial do not want to max Spell Shield first, since they won't be taking too much damage. And they like to get some points in stats to increase their farming speed and overall increase their tank ability. But against Lich, Black might be forced to get some points in the Spell Shield, even against a defensive tri-lane when he himself is defensive. So that could be a bit annoying for Black, but he will have to consider that because if a Lich bounce lands on Anti-Mage twice, Anti-Mage will definitely die. The problem with Lich in this lineup is that outside of Chain Frost and Frost Nova, which Frost Nova doesn't really do that much damage, Chain Frost does do quite a bit, but Lich is quite squishy. Mouz have a pretty tanky lineup in general, and Mouz is going to pick up Keeper Light, so they're going to go with very defensive heroes in general, and they're just going to focus their efforts on farming Anti-Mage up as much as possible. Meanwhile, Alliance is going a bit more early to mid-game focused, as Alliance did ban out the Darks here. So I guess Mouz are sort of forced into playing an aggressive tri-lane, as Luna will be the last choice for Alliance. They want to put pressure on Mouz as early as possible. Really want to shut down the Anti-Mage as much as possible, and Lich will probably try to go to Black's lane, deny as many creeps as he possibly can, and just completely negate Black's presence in the early stages of the game. But yeah, this is a really weird lineup for Mouz. They're going to put Bone 7 on the next assassin. I was wondering, they don't really have a trademark offlane hero, and that Darkseer ban by Alliance was just so nice. So that really restricted what Mouz could do with the last pick, but I guess they want to turtle very hard with the Keeper of the Light, and that's why it was one of the choices. But introducing the players and the teams, we're going to have S4, the son of Magnus, playing the Magnus on the middle lane. Going to have Aki playing the Chen. Loda is going to be handling the Luna. EGM is going to be taking care of the Lich, and Admiral Bulldog will be playing the Nature's Prophet, so it will be a support Lich in a tri-lane. Meanwhile, on the side of Mouse Sports, we are going to have Keep It Light being played by Synderen. Bot is going to be playing one of his trademark heroes in the form of Puck. Pos is going to be playing the Visage. Bone 7, the Stanin, is going to be playing the Nyx Assassin. And Black is going to be playing the Anti-Mage, and looks like Bone 7 was pulled a bit of regen. He's going to go to the middle lane. He has a poor man shield as well. So this will actually be a mid lane Nyx Assassin. No, it's going to be a mid lane Puck. Actually, it's going to be a safe lane Nyx Assassin because Nyx Assassin can't off lane. So Mouz, I think they were sort of forced to go into this aggressive tri-lane. But at least now they have a Keeper Light that can really help out Anti-Mage a bit more. But it is always very annoying getting aggressive tri-lane up against a Lich because it's a lot more difficult in general to push in when you're on the aggressive if you don't have a hero like Leshrac, especially when you're up against a Chen who can just come around and help out his tri-lane so very easily. And you can see Alliance doing a nice job. They immediately got to the jungle, just really Tampa, shout out to SK Tampa, the former SK legend. Of course, Loda being on SK for quite a bit of time. Very well acquainted with Tampa.
The battle begins.
But yeah, I was gonna say nice positioning by Alliance as
Invisibility.
S4 gonna be bottom, Loda is gonna be mid, so Alliance are just gonna completely bamboozle Mouz in terms of laning. And actually this makes a lot more sense because Magnus wouldn't be enough to keep Puck back, and Puck will be the primary focus of Mouz in the mid game in order to keep Alliance restricted. And in the bottom lane, you have Lich. He'll constantly be able to pull the creeps back and just, well, I guess he's going to be on the, where is Lich? Oh yeah, EGM's in the middle lane, so he's going to deny Puck even more experience. And with double range heroes, Fada can't be too aggressive on this middle lane. And having that support means that rune control will likely be forfeited. And keep in mind, Battlecrow is nowhere near as strong as possible. So actually, Alliance laning looks to be very impressive at this stage. But Magnus is going to take a lot of harassment on the bottom lane. And actually, I was thinking that Lich would be on the bottom lane to try to restrict Anti-Mage's farm as much as possible. But I guess they just want to get some safe farm from Magnus. And you can definitely do that with Shockwave. But the downside is that they can't really defend against Black. And Paz just going to be roaming around. Will be trying to ward off the cast, but I was going to say at the beginning of the game before I was just cut off by some random musings. Alliance was positioning themselves in such a way that it was going to be very difficult for Mouz to actually plant some defense wards blocking off Chen creeps. And you can see as a result, none of Aki's camps have been warded off, and that means he can start getting his levels going, he can start getting more access to more and more creeps, and overall just be an incredible nuisance. Meanwhile, Bulldog versus Bone 7, I think you have to favor Bulldog in this matchup. He won't have much mana to summon the Treants, but he has range. But Bone 7 definitely going to have a bit of an easier time since he does have those tangles as well as the poor man shield. And it seems like he's farming pretty decently at this point. But yeah, middle lane, the sole focus for Alliance is just to shut down Fada as soon as possible. And they know they have a bit of time before Anti-Mage truly becomes a monster. And maybe they have a bit less time because it is Black who will last to everything he can possibly get his hands on. But still, they have a bit of time. And keep in mind, since none of the wards were blocked off, if Alliance want to pull and deny Anti-Mage some creeps, they are well within their rights to do just that. So Puck is definitely going to be the primary focus, and that's why Alliance lane is so not standard, I suppose, is the most ineloquent way to put it, but that's the only way I got, guys. Ineloquency, that's my forte.
Double damage.
You know, you can see that middle lane support gonna have such easy control over the runes, and also there's Chen who can always roam in and control the runes, so Fada might have to use only one charge of the, or two charges of the bottle and then just send it back on the courier, as we are going to see teleport by Bulldog as he was driven away from the top lane, as Synderen has just been pulling non-stop to try to get as much experience as possible, as Synderen retreating from the bottom lane, recognizing that there were only two heroes there, and Black so far trying to do as much harass in S4 as possible, is just going to go to work, realizing that it is more difficult for a side laner to actually bottle crow. So if he burns as much mana on Magnus as possible, then S4, if he doesn't get the bottle, will be a bit annoyed. And if he does get the bottle, will just hog it relentlessly. But the good thing about Luna is that even though she has a bottle, with the mid lane support, she will always have access to most runes. And actually S4 taking a lot of edge, but you can see Anti-Mage's right clicks not doing nearly as much just because S4 is completely out of mana at this point. And Black, with his skill build, yes, 1-1-1, he recognizes the power of Lich, as well as the power of Magnus's early game Shockwave, so he's going to get a early point to spell shield and try to mitigate as much damage as possible. So far, I'm not too sure the laning stage is favoring. Looks like Fada just being driven away only one CS, and mid lane is usually the most important matchup in general because the mid lane gets so much experience and usually gets a lot of farm, but Fada just going to have nothing of that nature. And Puck is a hero who does need his items in the early game if he wants to really take control of the game. I mean, Puck as a hero can still do work without many items, but in order to really control the game, like Korok Puck or a previous Fada Puck, then he really needs the items as well as experience in order to truly thrive. And up against the Lich lineup, he's just not going to get the experience nor really get the farm. And you can see Loda, despite being in the dual lane, a full level ahead of the Puck at this point. And Lich might decide his work here is done, going to transition away to the bottom lane, but Pass will snag the regeneration rune up from underneath the Lich's noses, but EGM won't really mind. You had the bottle, and he was probably going to refill for Loda. So, really interesting choice. Yeah, this is Loda's bottle, so EGM would have bottled it, and only he could activate the regen rune, but he would give Loda the full 3 charges. So, Alliance, with some really clever usage of this middle lane, really taking control of this game. And it might be more prudent to switch Bone 7 to the middle lane once he does hit level 6, or even before then, because Nyx is already level 5, and Fada is only level 3, and you can't really clear these neutral stacks that competently without the help of Keeper of the Light. And Puck, I mean, he can definitely use the farm, but what he really needs is experience. And so far, Alliance is doing a remarkable job zoning Fada out of the way. And you can see, despite S4 pretty much being by his lonesome on the bottom lane, due to the fact that there's an Anti-Mage and Visage up against him, you can pick up some semblance of farm, and he can still pick up a reasonable amount of experience. So he's actually being Fada in terms of CS by 5 times. So Alliance's strategy was a bit iffy about their draft because of the really defensive lineup of Mouse, but their laning choices have just made me really reconsider how this draft goes. And I don't know, so far I think Alliance have the advantage, but Isport going to take a lot more damage. He is once again completely out of mana, picked up the early boost speed, and he's just going to rely on his natural regeneration, it appears like, for his mana regen. So he's not going to have any mana to skewer out of there, but I mean, he doesn't really need to cast spells, he just needs to get experience so he can get RP online. I mean, sooner or later, one of their mids will come in, whether it be the Lich or the Luna. They'll gank the bottom lane, they'll put on some pressure, create some space for S4, and then he'll inevitably pick up his dagger or his arcane boots. Now it's a 6-minute mark, so EGM knows that the first wards have expired, so he will go and try to clear up some creep camps, and Bone 7 will be a bit annoying. Lich only level 4, and keep in mind Frost Nova, really not impressive in terms of its damage output. I mean, it's just 100 damage at level 2. I mean, Aki just farming up in the jungle. He is being a bit cautious, but he knows he probably won't be in any danger. And he's been able to hit a relatively secure level 4, but it looks like Black just trying to burn as much mana as possible, knowing that the creep has been pulled far enough back that it's very dangerous to farm underneath the enemy team's tower. I mean, even when S4's out of mana, if he makes one mistake and one teleport by the Nature's Prophet as well as Luna, that could be the end of Black, and Black is pretty much the only one who's having some really strong farm thus far in the game. I mean, Bone 7's farming reasonably well, but not well enough, as the Skewer trying to do as much damage to Black as possible, just gonna get recall back to lane. Meanwhile, Aki gonna take a Grave Chill, but should be okay. Anti-Age was in position, Paz didn't have the boot speed, so he couldn't do too much harassment. It seems like Mouse gonna clear up this mid lane stacks recognizing that Fada was just having a miserable time. And he should be able to clean up a lot of these groups with one more orb. We'll see what level he matches hit. This should get him to almost level 5. And he will be able to get that, but only now he will pick up his boot speed. He already had his bottle, and we'll see what he decides to do. Bone 7 going to make his way towards the middle lane. He has Arcane Boots as well as a Poor Man's Shield, and this Nyx Assassin could definitely cause problems for Alliance because they don't really have the tankiest of heroes. I mean, their tankiest hero is Magnus, and Magnus himself does not really build into many tank items. As Bone 7 looking for a target, who will he decide to go on? He will decide to go for Loda, as the orb, the Waning Rift will all be perfectly chained. The Wrath of Nature just a bit too late. It wouldn't have been enough regardless, so Loda gonna get a first blood, and Alliance not having a Centaur in the middle lane definitely cost them. And they should have probably realized, well, Nyx Assassin's missing. I wonder who he could gank. Considering S4 just managed to teleport himself back to base, they should have probably realized that Loda was getting ganked, but without any vision, it's always difficult to make those sort of guesses. So, really strong gank by Mouz, killing off Loda, giving Puck a good amount of gold as well as a good amount of experience. Definitely going to allow him to get him somewhat back in the game. But this is also a slight blessing in disguise. I mean, it's definitely not good to give up your Luna for the first blood, but the fact that EGM might hit a fast level 6 as a result, not going to trouble Alliance too much. But still, good gank by Mouz. They definitely came out ahead in that engagement, regardless of however I try to sweeten the deal for Alliance.
Dire's bottom tower
You know, Magnus
is under
pushing out the
attack.
bottom lane pretty successfully, as Mouz have placed a defensive ward spawning out Chen's move, knowing that Chen will likely push the bottom tower very soon. And Mouz don't really have the strongest counter pushers on the bottom lane at the moment. They have Visage as well as the Nyx. You know, Keeper Light is in the middle lane trying to help out Fada as much as possible, try to give him as much mana as possible. And Bone 7, he has Vendetta back online, so look for Mouz to make another gank happen. Yeah, there are Centaurs up on Aki, and that's giving Bone 7 the reason to pause, because he doesn't know if there are any more Centaurs nearby, so if he charges in too recklessly, he could be in a lot of trouble. But Illuminate just going to constantly push back the creep wave. Fada is going to be farming in the middle lane. Meanwhile, Black has rotated himself to the top lane, recognizing that it is a safer amount of farm. I mean, Nature's Prophet as a hero is a lot easier to deal with compared to a Magnus Chen, where Chen can just annoy you to no end, but Nature's Prophet the Treant is still very annoying. As Black, apparently it seems like he thinks one level in spell shield is enough as he got 2 point stats. Meanwhile, looks like Magnus was killed off with another gank in the middle lane by Bone 7 and the Puck. I'm really surprised that Alliance have not placed any middle lane sentry wards, as that is definitely coming back to bite him in the ass a little bit. Maybe they think, you know, since we don't see Bone 7 in the bottom lane, we don't know for sure if he's top lane or not, but usually when a Nyx Assassin does hit level 6, you always plan a mid lane sentry ward just so he can't gank the mid lane, because again, your mid lane hero is really, really important. But maybe the supports have just not been in position. I don't know. Lich, he was in position for mid lane, just not able to afford the gold, and Aki gonna be forced to buy more sentry wards, and now he's gonna definitely place one in middle. But still, the damage has been created by Bone 7, as he is really doing a remarkable job getting Mouz back in the game. And a lot of that blame does have to go to Alliance, not placing some sentry wards. Loda gonna go in, gonna immediately pop the clips, and wow, really, really smart engagement on Mouz. You can see what their goal was. Their goal was just to burn out the Eclipse, and that makes ganking Loda so much easier. But they still have to be careful because there's a Chain Frost in the picture, and Lich did hold back on the Chain Frost. And I mean, Loda was sort of forced to use the Eclipse, because if he didn't use the Eclipse, then, I mean, Master would probably killed him, so it was sort of a lose-lose situation no matter what for Loda. But at the very least, he's continuing his farm, having some very, very nice CS up on the bottom lane. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, S4, still no Arcane Boots, picks up the Magic Wand. Non-roll Bulldog. Weird item build. Looks like he's gonna be debated going Phase Boots first and then back into Midas. He will inevitably go for Midas and then probably finish the Phase Boots. But it is a bit slower of Midas timing than he probably could have rushed, but maybe he wanted to have a bit more lasting damage in the lane up against Bone 7, and if that's the case, then you can sort of understand his logic. But still, a faster Midas would have been faster to level 16 for Nature's Prophet, and more farming potential in general as Bone 7 is going to spot Aki. Here comes the Dream Coil as well. S4 taking a bunch of damage. He does have enough mana to use RP, but he's silenced at the moment. We'll get the RP, but nicely dodged by Fada as the RP was not cancelled by S4. Seems like Alliance will be able to escape. Bone 7 going to take one bounce at Chain Frost. Will take a second bounce. A third bounce will bounce on a pause, but no more bounces after that. Really, really sensational blocks by Admiral Bulldog, but unfortunately for him, the treants were not enough to secure him a kill on the Nyx Assassin. Meanwhile, Puck does get a double kill on Loda as well as EGM, and Bone7 with a mutually assured destructive play manages to take Admiral Bulldog down with him. Remarkable effort by Mouse Sports. Wow, what plays. And still, Admiral Bulldog made some pretty big plays, but you saw my issue with Alliance in the early game. Outside of Chain Frost and their ultimates, they really don't have that much reliable damage. You can see Bulldog, he was blocking fiercely with his strings, trying to slow down Bone7's retreat. But Bone7 just juked one way, juked another, eventually got away, and he escaped on silver HP. And when Bulldog was forced to teleport himself back in, he had to die with the Nyx Assassin. Keep in mind, Loda died once again, and Black has not died, as he's finished the treads, will likely finish the Perseverance or pick up the Claymore very, very soon. And Black is starting to get to the point where he might be getting close to ungankable, especially with the Alliance's not really versatile ganking lineup. Their lineup is more of group up and push style Dota rather than gank Dota. And you need to have some strong gankers up against Black, because what will lock him in place? The only thing that locks him in place is RP, without Shen Creep stuns. And as you saw in a previous game, not having any real stuns against mobile heroes is going to maybe mean the death of you in the game. Meanwhile, Bone7, Arcane Boots as well as Poor Man's Shield picks up a Null Talisman, so he didn't previously have that. So he's considering Dagon. He's got off to a really, really strong start. Has managed to pick up pretty good amount of CS. And meanwhile, Fada, that double kill was such a huge boost towards his gold intake. You can see he finished the treads and is now going to start working towards his dagger. And considering how much emphasis Alliance put on shutting down Fada, this Blink Dagger could really, really throw Alliance for a loop. And Alliance, I don't think they have enough items to really handle this Puck picking up a reasonably timed Blink Dagger. And I think this is the problem with Lich. Outside of Denies and Chain Frost, what does he actually contribute? Not too much. And, I mean, it's no fault to EGM, he's been playing pretty solidly for the most part, but still, Lich is a hero. Not really that versatile. Meanwhile, Mouse, if they manage to get themselves to a fast mechanism, as Bulldog gonna get harassed away by Black once again. Black doing quite a bit of damage, and Bone7 will teleport himself in, but Black, Bulldog gonna be in a lot of trouble, will get impaled, won't even bother to get Vendetta, as Black will pick up the Mana Void kill, so nice gank by Bone7 once again. And you can see Alliance's lack of mobility really, really hurting them. Chen is just probably the least mobile support in the game next to Enchantress. And he can't really travel to all these lanes placing Sentry Wards. He can just sort of be restricted to one segment of the map, try to do as much damage as possible, as the Dream Coil will be used on the bottom lane. The silence does go on DGM, so he can't cast Chain Frost, but we'll get back online. We'll probably kill Fada, as Fada is definitely going to die. One more auto attack will finish up the kill. Meanwhile, Synderen going to be a lot of trouble. Skewered by S4 will still on Synderen, as the Frost Nova was there as well. So S4 does pick up a kill. A little bit of a sloppy engagement from Mouse Sports, and definitely paid the price, as they tried to use the Dream Coil to pick up a lot of kills, but they just didn't have enough damage in the picture.
Bottom tower is under attack.
So Alliance will be able to take a tower off of this, but meanwhile Black is going to probably take a tower off of this as well. Alliance do have a glyph, they're going to use it. So maybe Alliance will get themselves back in position to defend this tower. They are going to use Wrath of Nature as well to clear out the creep waves, as well as slow down Black's pushing effort on this top lane. So Alliance will get the tower kill. They will probably be able to defend this top tower as well, but meanwhile Magnus instead rotate himself middle to try to defend this tower, and will do so successfully. Meanwhile, Black caught in a bit of an awkward situation, will be able to just blink on out of there. Again, nothing on the side of Alliance locks in place until Admiral Bulldog picks up that Orchid. And I have to assume that Bulldog is not going to go to Shadow Blade. He is going to go for the Orchid Rush, because they need all the disables they can possibly get on Black. And Black, oh man, only about 250 gold, and then he'll have that Battle Fury. And at that point, you really, really won't be able to stop him with any sort of ganks. He'll just be able to farm uncontestedly. And Pos farming up. Meanwhile, Alliance, are they close to finishing a mechanism on the Chen? Not so much. He went for a Ring of Basilis. He's just picking up so many wards, and that's really slowing down his farm intake. And that's the problem playing against an Assassin. You're sort of forced to get these wards, otherwise they'll get ganked, and Alliance have already been ganked once too many. So they are paying for it as a result by forcing to buy more and more Sentry Wards, and that is really slowing down the other timing push items that they really require in order to end the game ASAP. Synderen? Already has the headdress of rejuvenation, so we'll start to make his way towards the buckler. No words on that for Synderen. It looks like they were all counterworded by for the most part by Alliance, because they've just been getting Sentry in spades. Alliance, they know they have to create as much room as possible at this point, as Black can use Blink, but it will be up relatively soon. And again, there's really nothing to hold Black in place. They don't have a troll net, and without that, it's just going to be so difficult to actually gank this anti-mage. And Black with the Battle Fury just going to be more than content to farm off other lanes, and now it can start split pushing. And Alliance, their lineup is pretty immobile outside of the Nature's Prophet as well as the Luna, I suppose. But Luna has not even picked up a Yasha, but Alliance will claim another tier 1 tower at the very least, and that will definitely help them out quite a bit. S4, 1k away from finishing his dagger. And once he gets that dagger, maybe Alliance can do a bit more pressure, and it seems like Alliance want to just group up and push at this point in the game. They really just don't want to give Black too much room to farm up. And Black won't be able to get a tower push off of this because Alliance can probably teleport back in time to defend this after they take this tier 2. But now Keeperlight does come to be a presence on the map with his Illuminate spam. It's only level 3 Illuminate, as he got 3 points of Chakra Magic instead of maxing that Illuminate. I think this is the standard build. I'm not a Kato player. I don't usually analyze Kato builds because Kato, in my opinion, is not a very interesting hero. But this is standard build, at least from what I've seen. But Bone 7 gonna get slowed down a bit, and this tower will die. And the question is, can Black get a tower trade at the very least? As all the creeps have died for Alliance, and that's why this backdoor regen is kicking in, but there's just simply too much damage. And looks like Radiant were able to defend their tower as well as claim the Dire tier 2, but Bone 7 wants to go in, but does recognize there was a Centroid in because this creep was attacking him. So Alliance just secured themselves a nice bounty of gold, but now S4 could potentially be in a lot of trouble. He's getting very close to the blink, so if he loses a lot of gold, looks like Fada just going to ignore him for now, recognizing that S4 is just too tanky and he has the RP online most likely, so just going to back off rather than devoting all the resources to killing him off. In the end, they got what they came for, they got the tower, and that's all they wanted. And Black probably going to go into Yasha next, or perhaps a Vlad's, likely a Yasha. And once he gets that, he'll be very, very difficult to stop. I think that's probably, yeah, it's some teleport scrolls, just to allow him to split push a lot more effectively. You know, Bulldog actually is going to go for the Shadow Blade. I would have much rather preferred an Orchid, but many things can't farm before Anti-Mage picks up the Manta Style. And once Anti-Mage gets the Manta Style, Orchid is pretty much rendered useless, so he's going to go for a split pushing build. I would still prefer the Orchid, but I mean, Bulldog is such a good player on Nature's Prophet that can't really question him. We'll just have to see how that works out in this game, as Bone 7 going to initiate with the Impale, starting the creeps for quite a long time. The Wrath Nature will bounce, Spike Carapace has already been used, and Bone 7 will be the first one to die in this engagement. And Alliance's Death Pall push is starting to get very, very terrifying, as this tower will get picked off. That won't get last hitted though, and that is going to deny S4 his Blink Dagger. Meanwhile, the teleports will come in to try to drive Black away. Unfortunately for Alliance's tower is not in deny range, so one more push will be the end of this tier 1 tower. And that will be a nice chunk of gold for Black, as he wants to increase his ever-growing stock portfolio. God, can't speak. Meanwhile, Keeperlight has finished the mechanism. Chen probably getting the mechanism delivered to him as well. Yep, that is getting the mechanism. Load of rushing that BKB is going to have it in about 530 gold. Bulldog finished the Shadow Blade. S4 300 gold away from finishing his Blink Dagger, as his farm has definitely been shut down. This is not the best timing of Dagger for S4, but I mean, he was focused quite a bit on the bottom lane. You know, Bone 7 actually instead rushed the Blink Dagger rather than going for Dagon, recognizing that he wasn't able to get ganks for free off anymore once Alliance started Sentry Warring, so getting the Dagger definitely a lot more useful to follow up Puck's initiation. And Puck does have a dagger of his own, so now he can potentially initiate and just really, really disrupt Alliance quite heavily. And if they manage to kill off Aki or EGM before they can get off one of their major ultimates, there's a huge loss in terms of survivability for Chen, or in terms of DPS by the Lich. As Bone 7 will blink in, they're going to isolate S4. S4, how much gold does he have? He just picked up his dagger, so this death won't really come. They're going to pop Hand of God in the end, but S4, I was scared for him for a bit, because I was thinking he wouldn't have enough money for a dagger, but in the end, that kill isn't going to really matter too much outside of keeping Magnus out of the game for the next 30 seconds. But Mouse, they should be able to get a tower push off the back of this. And there's a Siege Wagon, so this tower will get in deny range unless Bulldog focused on the Siege Wagon. So we'll see if Black plays a bit too aggressively. Yes, the Siege Wagon God, Siege Wagon will bring the tower into 9 range, and Anti-Mage does pick up the last
Radiant's
hit.
top tower has fallen.
Meanwhile, it seems like Mouse going into a pincer formation, but they're running past several Alliance wards, and actually Bone 7 going to whiff the Impale. But still, not the biggest deal. Black's just continue to farm in front of Alliance's faces, and there's nothing Alliance can do about it at all. But yeah, Synderen's finished the Mechanism. Visage, picking up the treads, will likely work his way towards a Medallion, and once Mouse get enough room on the map, they will likely try to take down Roshan, because they are dire, and Alliance gonna be forced to constantly defend against Black split pushing across the lanes. And keep in mind, Fada can do that as well, because he's Puck, he's very difficult to kill off in general, and he's just gonna constantly pressure the creep wave back at every opportunity. So the goal graph, I'm expecting it to favor Mouse despite Alliance claiming more towers, and yes, it is indeed favoring Mouse, and when I say goal graph, I mean the experience graph. The goal graph is also favoring Mouse by around 1k on both counts. You know, the net worth should be heavily in favor of Black. You can see he's out farming loaded by 3k net worth, and I mean, Luna is just simply not as fast a pusher or farmer as Anti-Mage. And you are seeing why, because Luna can't move around as fast, she doesn't have Blink, and she doesn't really get that Lunar or those Moonglaves max first, because that would just be silly. So Alliance, recognizing they're in a very, very dicey situation, they're going to push in. They have the Mechanism online, and they still have some very strong ultimates, and S4 actually will blink in. He's not going to catch anybody. He's going to find himself stunned up, and if S4 dies right here before he can cast RP, that's going to be a huge loss. He will die. Lich does pick a kill on Nyx Assassin. The Chain Frost continue to wreak havoc. Luna does pick off Pos in the end, and that is going to force Nyx Assassin to buy back. He wants to defend his tower so very desperately. Bulldog going to get himself right back into the thick of things, as Bone 7 will once again get a huge Illuminate. Fado does get a 3-man Greedy Crawl, as here comes a Mana Void by Anti-Mage. Fada will toy with death and will die, but Loda gonna get himself picked off. Black just doing some work. Actually, EGM never used the Chain Frost, and that is gonna kill off Black in the end. So it's gonna be a 4-for-4 trade. Synderen, one more Frost Nova could be the end of him, but actually EGM will most likely die. Bulldog gonna buy back. He will kill off Synderen. One Impale and a Mana Burn will be the death of Keeper Light, and now Bone 7 will have to retreat. He already bought back, so if he dies right here, that will definitely be a huge loss in terms of gold. So in the end, that was a 4 or 5 for 5, because a lot of people bought back. That's pretty much the way I could sum it up. Nature's Father bought back, Bone 7 bought back, and that's pretty much it. But both of the primary carries did die. I think that did favor Mouse in the end, because Lich's Chain Frost, I mean, it was level 11 Chain Frost, I think. They just picked up level 11 from killing off the Anti-Mage, so Lich Chain Frost can still do more work, and Mouse, they don't really have anybody who can build into a pipe straight up, so Lich Chain Frost will still be a pretty big factor. And meanwhile, S4 once again being disrupted. This really, really mobile lineup of Mouse, really, really so annoying. Dream Coil gonna mean the end of S4. As Fada, realizing that he better be safer than sorry. And they're gonna kill off Magnus, gonna keep him out of the picture for the next 45 seconds or so. And S4 is just not having a good game whatsoever. And it's difficult for Magnus to get a really strong RP off against silences, against stuns, and against the mobility of Mouse, because pretty much everybody on the side of Mouse is mobile. Keeper Light can cast Blinding Light to get himself out of a sticky situation, and he has some decently high base move speed. Nyx Assassin has Dagger. Visage has Grave Chill, and he's pretty tanky, as he is actually maxing Gravekeeper's Cloak. So he's actually very, very difficult to bring down, and you don't really need to be told how mobile Black is, as he's already finished the Manta style. You know, Nyx Assassin does manage to kill off the Lich, so there goes the Chain Frost. The next team fight. Synderen actually will escape, and here comes Fada on the approach. They will kill off Bulldog, and Bulldog doesn't have enough for Black. This will probably be a Roshan fight for Mouse, but it seems like Black has intentions of killing us for, does do so successfully, and Mouse have everything going for them at this moment. And Alliance, they had some clever landing ideas, and their lanes seemed to work out very well, but Bone 7 just created so much room on the map, and he's really been the MVP for Mouse thus far. You know, Pos looks like he's not going to go for a pipe. Instead, he's probably going to pick up a point booster, try to build himself towards an Aghanim Scepter.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And I don't think Radiant can defend this tier 2. This tier 2 will end up falling towards the forces of Mouse, and that's going to give Mouse even more room to just run around, just wreak havoc, and Mouse have a pretty significant gold lead. It'll just go higher and higher at this point. Experience advantage heavily in favor of Mouz. And Loda, the most impressive item he has is BKB. He's already used one charge, and he did die nonetheless. And even though nothing on side Mouz goes through BKB, Black's damage output could be potentially enough to just tear through that BKB defense that Luna has. As now he has 3k gold in the bank, and we'll see what he decides to go for. Will it be a BKB? Will it be a other item, like a butterfly? So, yep, point booster for Visage, 2100 gold in the bank for Bone 7. Might pick up a Ghost Scepter, but will go back into a Dagon, as Alliance knows that their best shot is just teamfighting as much as possible, but against the initiation of Puck, these spellcasts is being controlled very, very easily. Aki has been able to farm a Ghost Scepter. He's only died once, but he's just not been able to have that big of a presence on the map, just because of his immobility. But Alliance, they're going to smoke themselves up. They will be able to escape the sight of Mouz, as the Sentry Ward spotted out any wards that Mouz could have potentially placed, and Alliance seem to want to catch Black in the jungle or catch somebody going up the high ground. As S4 will blink in, will initiate, will get Synderen, but they will use an RP just to pick off Keep for the Light, and that is going to be a trade that Mouz will probably take, since Keep for the Light, he can even buy back if he really wants to. Fada will pick up the Mystic Staff, will likely save for buyback. Actually, maybe not, because if Alliance win a team fight, with how many summons they have, they could potentially kill down creeps very, very quickly, and also kill off buildings. So Fada, not yet devoting himself to that Mystic Staff, instead buying some more teleport scrolls, and just making sure to be safe rather than sorry. Bone 7 holding on to enough gold for buyback. He did buyback in the last team fight. That is going to be a full BKB for Anti-Mage, and that means only RP can penetrate through the defenses of Anti-Mage. You can see level 19, only 1 point Dispel Shield, and now it does not really have to be troubled by Chain Frost at all. I'm pretty sure the Chain Frost still does go through BKB, but the most significant portion, which is the damage, does not go through BKB. And Mouz trying to sneak a Roshan. Looks like Alliance not really aware that this is happening. They don't have any wards in the vicinity, and Mouz, they're taking this Roshan at a reasonable pace. They have a DD rune on Puck, and if they had a medallion on the Visage, that would definitely help them out a lot more. But the Tornado gonna be channeled as Puck gonna cast Silence. S4 trying to claim the Aegis, but Black will pick it up. He's gonna pop the BKB. He's gonna go immediately back in. S4 can't get off the RP because it was on cooldown, and Black is just going to work. Visage was the first one to die, as both the ultimates on the side of Alliance were able to do quite a bit of damage. Black trying to do as much damage as he can, will be able to kill off S4 in the end. Gonna be forced to use Aegis, but here comes the Dream Clone by Fada, and this looks to be a complete cleanup by Mouz. Illumina gonna fly on Loda, taking so much damage, he will die. Meanwhile, Admiral Bulldog gonna be the last one inside of Alliance to die, and now Alliance in full retreat. Puck has finished the Scythe of Ice, and only Visage died, and Visage is very much expendable at this point in the game. And Anti-Mage is going to get more and more powerful, because he still can build into towards 3 more item slots. Well, 2 more item slots, I guess.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And he can pick up that next time relatively soon. The Dagon has been purchased by Nyx Assassin, so Alliance, you can see why Mouz counter them in terms of playstyle. Well, not really counter, but I don't know, maybe it's Synderen's drafting ideas that really throw Alliance for a loop. Maybe it's Alliance's playstyle in terms of just firing Black up heavily that throws Alliance for a loop, but Alliance, what more can I say than they are just not having a good time against Mouz these days, and Mouz just playing extraordinarily well. Bone 7 really fitting in quite well with Mouz's plans. I almost dread to look at the experience as well as the goal graph. It's going to be almost a 10k deficit for Alliance, over 15k experience advantage for Mouz, and you can see the levels just not pretty. Black is level 22, meanwhile Loda level 15, a 7 level advantage on the main carry, and Black gonna get more and more stats. He's pretty tanky, and he doesn't need a Reaver. And we'll have to see if Black goes for a Butterfly or a Heart. I mean, either item will be very good, because it's gonna be a long while before Alliance picks up an MKV. Because Iron Bulldog wants to go for the Hex, Loda gonna try to go towards a Manta style, but again, it'll just be so long before, you know, they can pick up an MKB, so Evasion might be the more appropriate item for Black in this situation. Meanwhile, Puck has the Hex on lockdown, and you can see it's so hard for Bulldog to split push up against the Puck as well as the Nyx Assassin, as they can be anywhere on the map, and he won't know about it, and if he dies, you know, Nature saw that he can afford to die, but he really doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to give up gold, he doesn't want to give up map presence, and is just going to be sort of forced to play a lot more passively than he otherwise would. Paz, since he was dead in the last team fight, didn't get as much gold as his allies, as Synderen holding on to 3k gold probably will pick up a Ghost Scepter, although I think Pipe could be a solid option. He's going to pick up a Vlad's, also a really good option, because, of course, Anti-Mage. Lifesteal damage, armor. Meanwhile, Nyx Assassin, poor Bulldog, just never stood a chance in hell. He didn't even need Vada's help. That Dagon was enough to secure the kill. It's actually a Dagon level 2. Oh my god, Bone 7. Alliance just struggling at this point. They're forced to group up, and Loda is the only one who feels confident to leave his allies, but even then, he could be threatened with the gank. Only his BKB can save him from the wrath of Mouz Sports. And you know, Aki just trying to continue to farm up, because honestly, what else can Chen do? He's just trying to buy wards, trying to get as much map control on the side of his team as possible. And actually, that's Dagon level 3 on the side of, or up on Nyx Assassin, so now he can do so much damage that it's not even funny. I mean, he can pretty much one-shot EGM or Aki. As now, Alliance gonna pop a smoker to see. I don't think Mouse saw the effects of it, so they're anticipating gank on Loda, and they will be right. We'll see if they can protect Loda, as Loda has a BKB that might sort of reconsider fire from blinking in, but here comes the RP by Magnus. You can see Puck took next to no damage from the RP, but they do manage to kill off Puck. They get a 500 gold dominating spree from the Puck as well, as Loda did get the last hit. And Ichian, curiously enough, does use the Chain Frost, and Chain Frost level 2 does have the longest cooldown, but still, it is a bit annoying to use so frivolously, but maybe Bulldog accidentally blocked off the site with the Sprout, and maybe they just better safe than sorry. Might as well use the Chain Frost to secure the kill. But I think that Chain Frost is a bit unnecessary, and that might prevent Alliance from looking for a team fight, but at this point, they're obviously not going to look for a team fight. And all the while, Black just pushing, like, gonna go for the heart. It is gonna take a Lucent Beam Edge, and that's pretty much it. He's just gonna walk away from that very, very confidently. And I guess heart in this situation rather than a butterfly is going to be wild and good, because again, Alliance not really close to finishing an MKB. So if he wants to still go into the butterfly route, that could definitely be a viable option. And I think Black doesn't really want to have to buy back. He just wants to fight as much as possible as Loda. Forced to burn his BKB, and that's going to be a huge victory for Bone 7, because burning that extra bit of BKB time on the Luna, but very much worth that. Vendetta and Blink Mana. Definitely something that Bone 7 will do every day of the week. Paz getting very close to the Aghanim's. We'll have it in about 980 gold. You know, Bulldog still very far away from the Hex. He just simply can't split push, especially with Nyx Assassin being so incredibly farmed. As the Sentry Ward will be popped, and here comes Initiation. They do spot up Bone 7. He will get the Spike Carry by stun, but he will definitely die. The stuns by the Centaur, just a bit too much, as S4 does pick up the last hit, finally exacting some sweet revenge. And Bone 7 actually doesn't have enough for buyback, so this tier 2 might be in a bit of danger, but we'll see if Alliance still want to push the issue. And we'll see if Mouse actually wants to defend this. Seems like Black has no inclinations of doing that. He will likely sell his Foreman Shield to pick up a TP from the side shop, but he won't be able to get back in time to defend this tier 2. So that will be a small victory for the side of Alliance, as they will be able to get themselves a bit more map control and try to exert a bit more presence in the Roshan engagement with this tower being eliminated. But you can see Black just pushing so fast up on this top lane that as soon as Alliance kill it, they can't do anything else besides defend their base. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And actually, S4 will be engaged upon, and Black does know RP is down, but Black just gonna err on the side of caution. Very, very appropriate measure to take. And actually, S4, he didn't use the RP on next, he just used Blink Obscura, so scratch that. I guess I'm just losing at this point. So just checking out the wards on the map, Alliance have very, very defensive wards for the most part. Meanwhile, I think Mouse, the majority of their wards were counter-warded, because Aki's just been able to take control of the jungle and just been farming for days for those wards. And he's definitely been able to buy quite a few of those. And that is restricting Mouse's presence on the map, but I don't know if Mouse really want to exert control over the enemy team's jungle. I think they realize they're outfighting Alliance regardless because of Antivage being able to farm multiple lanes and the jungle very, very quickly. They had a Visage farming multiple lanes, and the other 3 teammates are just going to farm the other lanes as well. So who needs wards in the enemy team's jungle when they just have such solid heroes that can exert presence over the map at any given point of time? Meanwhile, this tier 2 tower, I think it's going to fall. Yeah, Alliance don't want to engage in this very, very uncomfortable position since they weren't in position to defend it. And that will be a free tier 2, and now all semblance of Roshan control has completely gone out the window for Alliance, as they have lost every single outer tower. And now the tier 3 will take a bit of damage, and Black going to work with the man style. Alliance, they will be forced to use the glyph. They're not teleporting back just yet, as they will be forced to use the glyph. Bulldog going to come in. Alliance had to use the glyph, and Mouse will just back off. Gonna wait for Roshan. It's gonna be respawning in about a minute and a half. And I imagine Black will take the Aegis since he still has the poor man's shield.
All are healed.
Meanwhile, S4 using a Hand of God. Was there a Bone 7 engagement? Maybe. Looks like he's dagging. Oh, EGM I think was probably initiated on, but was sent home back by Aki. So EGM actually pretty tanky. Has strength treads as well as bracer, and it is getting close to the level 16, and that Chain Frost at level 16 has such a short cooldown and does so much damage that it is very, very annoying for a team to deal with. But with the scaling HP pools on the side of Mouse, it just simply won't be enough. Puck has picked up the gem, so finally they can get some D-wards going. And Puck has 4,400 gold in the bank, ridiculous amount of gold, as he recognizes he won't get the Aegis, so he's just saving for buyback. Likely gonna pick up, I don't know, anything he honestly wants. Maybe get Boots of Travel. Well, he can still sell his bottle, so maybe something like a Yules or Force Staff could be an option. Or, I don't know what else he'll get. It's just, Puck can pick up a lot of items, but he is restricted in his item slots because he does want to have the gem as well as the Hex and the Blink. You know, Anti-Witch with the double damage and just clearing out these creeps left and right. And the Roshan will respawn very soon. I don't know if Alliance actually wrote down the Roshan timer, and that's why they're constantly scouting it out with these creeps. So a bit annoying for them to have to do, but it is a necessity as Bone 7 wants to take engagement, but I think Loda is baiting, as the team is very, very close nearby. And Bulldog has finally finished the Hex, so he can potentially shut down the Puck or the Nyx in a teamfight engagement. But still, the issue of Black remains present in Alliance's mind. And with Alliance not writing down Roshan because they're constantly scouting it out, this should be a free rush for the side of Mouse. And actually Black choosing to buy out the Butterfly rather than picking up the Aegis, so I guess he'll give the Aegis to Puck. Or Nyx. Because Black can't really sell any other items. And yeah, it will be for the Puck, as Fada does kill off the Aegis, or take up the Aegis. And now Mouse, they're going to probably look to try to end the game very soon. Well, they're going to wait for Anti-Mage to have buyback, since Anti-Mage is level 25, and if Alliance kill him once, he'll be dead for a minute and a half, where Alliance could potentially take, you know, maybe 2 sets of racks, since the top lane is dead, off of one teamfight victory. So once Black does get enough money for buyback, then look for Mouse to push in. And actually Fada, since he has the Aegis, probably going to toy with the idea of getting the Boots of Travel and then picking up a big item. Since killing a Puck with Aegis, I can't really imagine a more difficult feat. I guess stopping Anti-Mage with only one disable is similar. As you can see, S4 does not want to be initiated on, that's why he's forced to pop the smoke, but the smoke going to get immediately dispelled. And Alliance not bothering to defend the tier 3. They don't even have the glyph online. And we'll see if Alliance or Mouse is going to push the issue. They don't yet have enough money for gold, or haven't yet enough gold on HH to buy back, since he will lose a decent amount of gold if he does die. So I think that's why Mouse are sort of waiting for a little bit. Lotus picked up an Eagle Song, and Anti-Mage is just so hard to bring down regardless of the situation. Magnus trying to work his way towards BKB, but his farm has been restricted so heavily. And Anti-Mage just able to clear up those creep waves in a blink of an eye that should give enough for buyback if he should die. And Anti-Mage just sending his Manta Style Illusions in to chip away at the melee barracks, and there's nothing Lights can do about it. Nature Swap is split pushing all the while, but his rate of split push is just not that impressive. And with Cupid Light on your squad, you can just, you know, teleport somebody back, and then just get yourself right back into the thick of things. But actually, Bone 7 made his way towards the top lane as well, so I think that will stop line or Mouse's push for now. I don't know if Bone 7 is necessarily needed, but I guess Mouse realized they can just farm the jungle and take even greater advantage of their gold income. And now, Puck, he just picked up a major item. He's going to sell those treads, pick up the boots travel, and that is going to be a complete Shiva's guard for the Puck, so he is going to be really tanky, going to have that nice AoE slow and reduce the attack speed of everybody's side alliance. Shiva's guard, such a good item for Puck, since he will always get this really, really strong initiation by being in the center of everybody. BGM has not been able to hit low 16. Look at how much damage that Frost Nova did. That did next to nothing to Anti-Mage at this stage in the game. Once again, Black just going to pop the Mana Style, work on the barracks as well as the check creeps. Here comes the initiation by Fada. It comes will immediately be casted, but Magnus is going to be the first one to drop. He is going to be forced to buy back as the Chain Frost is going to go to work on the supports of Mouse. The Chain Frost only going to bounce twice. Meanwhile, the Aegis has already been forced on Fada. Loda going to be hexed up as where is Black? He managed to heal himself back up to full HP with the Strength of Hearth. Has not used too much mana, so has not used the Mana Void. Not too sure why Black is playing so defensively, but still, buyback on both sides. S4 bought back in exchange for Pos. Or Pos didn't buy back. Nobody on side Mouse bought back. What am I smoking? Meanwhile, the RP by S4, he was waiting for the perfect opportunity as Fada is going to escape. Black going to pop the BKB, try to go ham on the side of Alliance, but just simply saw it a bit too much. Black will pick up the kill on S4. He doesn't have buyback. Pos going to pick off Admiral Bulldog. Bulldog, do you have buyback, sir? You do, but it might just not be enough. Lich going to die as well. Lich luckily won't have buyback, and this should be the game. Mouse looks to take the game 1 victory with a lot of flair. Well, not so much flair, just with really solid play. Loda gonna get stunned. He's gonna get killed off so very easily. Black is unstoppable in the game and on his anti-mage, and this is why so many teams ban out the anti-mage. Black just makes great usage of it. Mouse gonna take a second set of barracks. Loda bought out because he needed everything he could possibly get for the next team fight, and I can't really blame him. But Mouse should be able to take Mega Creeps off this. I don't think Alliance can defend. And Bulldog can't even take down a single tier 3 despite only having one defender. He's just simply not farmed enough. And this will be Mega Creeps, indeed, because even if Black dies, he can potentially get himself right back to the fight. He still has buyback boots to travel. He just decides to go with that route. So this will be Mega Creeps, and this should be game 1 of this best of 3 series. So I guess the Mouse curse continues for Alliance. Mouse just simply seemed to know how to beat Alliance, at least in this game. And we'll have to see if this streak continues, because they just played really, really solid Dota for the most part. Alliance came at them with some really, really tricky lanes, but I think the draft was just simply not strong enough for Alliance. They just had no way to lock Anti-Mage in place, and they just let Black to his own devices. ASCII just gonna get absolutely obliterated. I'm a bit surprised Alliance have not yet called GG, as I guess never give up, never surrender. They're probably discussing what they want to do with the next game, because the next game will likely start immediately after the conclusion of this game. Meanwhile, Pos taking next to no damage from the Chain Frost because of that Gravekeeper scope. Look at how much damage Pos is soaking up. In the end, he will inevitably fall. Black gonna duke it out mano y mano against Loda, and will likely be the victor of this exchange because Fada is now right back in the picture. That Mana Void just does way too much, and that will be GG well played for Mouse Sports as they managed to take down Alliance pretty decisively. After the Battlefield was finished, there was really not too much hope for Alliance. They never really got back on top of their game since they just couldn't keep up with the farm. You can see Black 37k net worth. GPM ends at around 860. Oh my god. I have finished farming, says Black. That is going to be the end of this game. Going to end with 12.4k net worth. Oh my god. And more, because why the hell not? So Mouse with a really, really strong draft. We're going to see if Alliance can pull something out of their bags, because I think they did have the right ideas in terms of lane phase, but the draft was simply not there. So we'll see if Mouse can try to take the game and knock Alliance out of the Dreamhack, or if Alliance can come back and tie the series up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time very soon. Peace out.